must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
A very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us. This is Diplomatic Clicks, and you're going to look at the story that is trending across the globe right now, the violence that has erupted in the United States, across several states in that country after the killing of a black man, Mr. George Floyd, about a week ago in Minnesota, there, Minneapolis City. And to have this discussion, and also your opinion is welcome on the comment section. Please engage with us. Together with me on the other side of the Political Command Center is none other than Dr. David Matanga. Doctor, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you very much. It's a great day again. We have been here. But let's look at America. This morning, I looked at the factors that has brought America to where it is. A violent state, created on violence, institutionalized violence, produces violence, exports violence, redirects violence on minority people, Latinos, and black people. The violence in America against minority groups did not start yesterday. It started a long time ago. You remember J.F. Kennedy, the 60s, the 50s, the treatment of slaves, the black communities, the racial segregation. It has continued. The struggle for civil rights in America has overshadowed 3/4 of America independence. 3/4 of the independence of America, 250 years of democracy in America, has been overshadowed by violence. If they are not doing it to themselves, they are exporting it to other countries. In Panama, in Cuba, in the Middle East, in Kuwait, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Libya, in so many other places, in Yugoslavia. NATO, America, of course, gives NATO the strength. So a nation built on violence brought out violence needs a leader who can cool down the nature of violence that we see in America. Almost every American out of 100 Americans, 90 to 95 of them are armed. You can't be safe in American streets like you can be in Nairobi streets during daytime and night time. It's the same. Because people can shoot you at any time. You have a quarrel in a shop of a cigarette, there is a shot. There are shots. You are shot dead because you are separating some young man who came to the shore to want to speed up an Indian or a Latino guy selling, earning a living out of that supermarket. The type of violence that we see in America is the type of violence we see in the films. We have several films. What has increased, what has made violence possible to reach institutions like the police, the prisons, the army, is because violence is the norm, it's the motto of violence. America has got a motto beneath it. If you speak politely in America, you might not survive. There are people who say Obama's administration was very good. No. Even Obama himself is a black man, but he has a violent heart. I'll explain why. Before Miriam asks me, because I can see she wants to ask me how. Obama dismembered Libya. He ordered it for the, you know why Obama was popular? He killed Osama bin Laden. You saw the celebrations, which all of us are happy because Osama was a very bad terrorist. He killed so many people. But America likes those type of presidents. A president who has done something. America likes a president who cuts off an entire world and says, I have cut off aid from World Health Organization. Because a fifth by name Tedros sneaked through Geneva and went to speak to China. America likes those type of people. The Americans, don't be shocked, Miriam, that Americans will vote, can vote Dr. Bush, this guy Trump back, irrespective of all this that is happening. Trump remains the most popular candidate because they like, I have been with American friends, several of them. I've worked with Susan Rice when she was not in administration. When she lost after Clinton went, she had no job. It's Obama who brought her back. She used to come to Africa, to Zimbabwe, to work for contracts. We sit down together. We have sat down together. There's a time we sat down and asked Susan Rice, why do you people like violence? Why? When COVID-19 started, Americans went more to the shops to buy guns, not to buy medicine. Can you, just excuse me, chemists were empty, but gun shops were high. There was a lot of queues and lines in the gun shops. People were stocking guns. They were stocking bullets. That's what America wants. Mm-hmm. You can't survive in America without the chest similar to that, as big as that of Trump. You must have a chest. President Trump is not taking any chances either. He is instructing the army to come down and deal with people. It's violence. It's an institution. It's institutionalized. Don't tell me anything more. There's no democracy in American policy. But I will tell you at the end of this story that America comes to Africa to police us, to tell Zimbabwe. I don't know why Mnangagwa is leaving that ambassador there. You should have told him to leave, to go back to Washington. To tell a country like Zimbabwe that we need you to do protests first. If you don't have protests, allow Chamisa to destroy Harare. Allow Bob Wine to destroy Kampala. Allow Boniface Mwangi to carry pigs to parliament. Have you seen the type of democracy they spread around the world? But back at home, it has turned the tables on them now. Now, who is, I liked one journalist by name Onyango Bo. Today he wrote, he said African journalists are asking, when there is violence in Africa, CNN, white journalists, and others are on our necks, reporting on African issues. Can America allow us, black journalists like Matanga, to fly in there to also report the way this CNN run here and some Africans carry their cameras running around? Can we? Can we? Nobody can allow you. You saw the arrest of a CNN journalist, a black guy who had an ID. He was arrested, taken into custody. The friend who was a white man was looked at, but this black guy was taken. What type of country is this that only manufactures, exports violence? President Trump, in summary, 6 years ago, he wanted 6 young black people when he was a businessman in New York, who were allegedly to have raped
the white lady, yeah.
The white lady, to be killed.
There were 5, the Central Park 5.
Yes, Park 5, sorry. He wanted them killed. You know, he said they should be killed. Now, imagine you have a president of that nature. But later on, the Supreme Court or the upper court overruled what the lower court had said. They found out that those 5 black people
Or innocent.
were not at the scene. They did not kill anybody. They did not rape anyone. The girl lied.
And they had served. The case happened the incident happened in 1989, because I've been following this, because they've also done a movie and a series about it when they see us. In 1989, and they were sentenced in 1990, and they served term until 2002, when the real culprit was arrested. So they still served term. At that time, they were teenagers. So
if we had, yeah, you are right, Miriam. If we had killed people,
yeah.
If those 5 younger men were killed, one of them could be Obama tomorrow. Their lives would have gone. That's the type of president America has. But when you have that type of policy, institutionalized violence, which has grown, you see, they come to Zimbabwe, they tell you, you have diamonds, thank you, but you are not selling them. We shall block you everywhere. If we see one diamond from Zimbabwe, we shall block you. We shall put sanctions on you. These are the things that Africa must stand against. These are the things that are in Africa today. But that aside, what went wrong? It is now emerged. I've sent a picture for Mr. Stephen. It has emerged that Mr. Floyd George was working with this policeman in a nightclub. The rivalry seemed to have come all the way from this nightclub. What we want to establish, was it, were they aware of each other? Because the policeman also worked another job as a bouncer. So pictures have come and they have been spread around. Was there a rivalry? How could a man for 9 minutes put a knee on the neck of a person and you kill him that time? When you have cameras watching, people are taking photographs, people are begging you to leave him. That it is still, that scene has not caught my brain properly. Maybe one psychologist will explain to me how a human being of that nature should be. Miriam.
Indeed, and right now the U.S. is the center of protest and chaos and a lot of looting and hooliganism that has been happening there, that a lot of times is synonymous with African countries. And people have been asking questions, if this was happening somewhere in Nairobi, Zimbabwe, South Africa, or whatever else here in the continent, or just outside of the U.S., say somewhere in the Middle East, right now the U.S. will be very quick to issue even travel advisories to its people, and the AU and all, and the European Union and all of that. But as we see today, that has not been the case. So you mentioned Zimbabwe there, and now Zimbabwe's foreign minister Sibusio Moyo has expressed his astonishment and concern over comments by the U.S. official suggesting that the Southern African nation was seeking to sow discord in the wake of violent U.S. protest over the death of the black man in police custody now over the weekend. White House National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien had named Zimbabwe among U.S. adversaries, including China and Iran, who are using social media to stoke tensions. Mr. Moyo, who summoned U.S. Ambassador Brian Nichols to discuss the comments, said the allegations were false and without factual foundation. How, in the middle of a crisis, first of all, U.S. is leading in terms of the infections in COVID-19 and also the deaths as we speak. So that is one crisis that they're dealing with. And also in the middle of a crisis right now that has erupted there, the chaos that is happening in over 40 states there in the U.S. How is it that they still find time to blame a country like Zimbabwe for stroking the tensions there in the United States?
Has Zimbabwe got the ability?
Even to, like seriously.
Has Zimbabwe got the ability to cause violence? Zimbabwe has not got the ability to cause violence in the United States. If it cannot feed its own people, how does it cause violence in the US? It shows to you what is at the bottom line. What is at the bottom line is they want to punish Zimbabwe. Their policy is to kill Zimbabwe. Their policy is to kill Zimbabwe. And you know, Desmond Tutu said, if you are guilty, if you are neutral, in a situation of injustice, you have chosen the side of an oppressor. If an elephant has no foot on the tail of a mouse, and you say that you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. I don't know whether to repeat this saying by Desmond Tutu.
It's a very deep
He
wisdom there.
said,
Yes.
if you are neutral in situations of injustice,
You're complacent,
you are
absolutely.
chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse, and you say that you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. So in the case of Floyd George, this is a heavy policeman who has got the power, he's on the tail, and America president is saying, we are neutral, we are an army, we shall send in the army to quell. What does that mean? That's all I wanted to say today.
All right, and of course, an independent autopsy found Floyd died from asphyxiation or strangulation, there from sustained pressure. And former African presidents have condemned the killings of George Floyd as violent protests continue in the U.S. following his death in police custody. Now, the Forum of Former Heads of State and Government has urged African countries to raise a strong protest to the killing and demand the perpetrators of this crime and all other crimes. Former heads of state of Africa are now demanding a justice for George Floyd, which is good. But there's a lot of injustice that goes on in this continent, and I've not seen the former heads of state in Africa come up and say, you know what, protest because people are being killed in Biafra, protest because, even when what was happening in South Africa last year, the xenophobia. I did not see the heads of states, giving a very strong statement as this and say, you know what, our brothers and sisters, like what is happening in South Africa is wrong. So can you strongly protest? But they've come out and said to raise a strong protest to the killing and demanded the perpetrators of this crime and all other crimes of this sort be punished in the strongest terms. This is according to a statement released by former Benin's President Nice Fore Soglo. And they said, what level of cruelty must you reach that the entire world finally wakes up and manifests its indignation? Who would dare hear their face visibly to treat in such a way a European, an Arab, an Israeli, an Indian, a Chinese, a Japanese, or an Argentina? Enough is enough. So they're saying this level of violence cannot be meted to people from these other areas. But President Nana Akufo-Addo, the Ghanaian president, also came in and said, we stand with our kith and kin in America in these difficult and trying times, and we hope that the unfortunate tragic death of George Floyd will inspire a lasting change in how America confronts head-on the problems of hate and racism. And also he continued to say, and then South African, ruling party ANC has urged President Cyril Ramaphosa to engage with the U.S. to diffuse racial tensions and build social cohesion among different races. Doctor, what do you make of these reactions by the retired heads of states in Africa who never speak when bad things are happening in this continent, but they've said, the perpetrators should be brought into book, and the Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo, who said we stand with our kin, our black people there in America?
That is the correct way they have done it. It is good that they issue such a statement to remind the people that in this world there is injustice, that this world, it has produced injustice. The killings continue. This is one of them because this was on daytime camera. But you can imagine how many blacks are killed at night and left by policemen of this nature. Why should we give permission to such idiots to fly into our countries? Why don't we make it difficult for them, for people of this nature, for their records to be supplied to the whole world? Look at the prosecutor charge sheet. What does it say? He said the man died of other complications. So choking was secondary. That's why America is banning. And it will ban. Because if you say choking was secondary, was Mr. Floyd George dead? If he had other complications, had he died? Had he died? Was he dead? Because if he was having complications, he would have died a long time ago without the police touching him, isn't it? But the man touched him. This is first murder. This is murder, not even second degree murder or what? This is direct murder. The guy had intention, motives to kill a black man. He hates black people. There is one thing that I want to tell you, which I have seen in Great Britain for the last 35 years. Great Britain is a country where values are respected. The government of Britain, that Britain you see, it's very difficult to buy a gun in a shop. It's very difficult to have a driving license in Britain. In fact, you can go and rob a bank. It is easier to rob a bank than to have a driving license. Only anything in Britain to do with danger. The laws in the United Kingdom protect any human being, whether he sleeps on the pavement, in a cardboard, in a posh house in Surrey County, or near the palace, the law is the same. There is that caveat that protects a human being in the United States, in the United Kingdom, which is Britain, which is not in America. America is a cowboy state. You enter a shop, you buy 2 machine guns. As long as you have your certificate that your brain is normal. But they don't know that the brain can turn once you have several bullets sitting there doing nothing. 3 machine guns in a house, when you are doing nothing, you will be forced to go and rob a bank. I just want to thank the government of Britain, British government, for being so tough on laws, on gun laws, on driving laws. Miriam, you can play about with anything, but not to catch a vehicle, a steering, and you enter the streets of Britain when you don't have a license. Ask anybody who has been there. You will be tortured by the police. You will be charged, sentenced. That is the type of democracy that people expected from America. But for now, America has lost it.
And of
If you
course,
want to come to Africa to tell us about protests,
to police us about human rights and all that. And of course, the police, who is now a former police, he was removed from the police force there, who was seen kneeling on Floyd's neck, was charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter. But protesters say the charge does not go far enough and are demanding charges for the other officers involved. And President Trump declared himself your president of law and order during remarks from the Rose Garden yesterday night. And there were reports, I was watching CNN last night at home, and there were reports that President Trump had gone and hid in the bunker there at White House because the protesters are trying to make their way to the White House. But what I find to be very astonishing or very interesting, and still I want to understand this, our forum of former head them the what was happening there, and a lot of things happen in this, a whole different problem there, but we've seen things happen here. I've not heard this group of leaders come out and speak against.
if AU has been hijacked and they still don't speak, what do you think they can speak on South Africa, which pays their offices? We have AU. I'm happy that this time the African Union wrote a protest note to the government of the United States to stop mistreating black people. That's very good.
The African Union headed by Cyril Ramaphosa.
That's very good.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, Miriam, slowly, COVID-19 seem to be going away. This morning I received a list of airports worldwide that are opening. So we seem to have forgotten COVID-19. I want to ask the people in America, how are they demonstrating with this, with masks? And then in the demonstration, this social distancing, are we not spreading a lot of disease? How are they coping? Because the thing is real. So my worry is the aftermath of these demonstrations. Many millions of Americans are going to be affected with COVID-19 because they have been mixing together, sitting together. Okay? So there is that danger. And the president of America, instead of coming up to bring something, a solution, he has come up to make even matters more complicated.
I know. It's terrible.
By saying he's sending troops to go and quell anything you see on the streets, to clean. In fact, he said to clean the streets. So that's the time we have spent on that. I want to return the honors to the headquarters.
Yes.
Say we have done our best. We have added our voice to the killing of Floyd George. We are against such heinous crimes committed against the minority groups in America. And we believe American government will take note and to tame its police such that they turn to policing work, not violating the rights of the human rights of the people of America. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And as you speak right now, at least 40 cities imposed curfews, and National Guard members have been activated in at least 23 states there, and Washington, D.C. there in America. And this is a story we shall be following for you, and we'll keep you up to date with the latest there. But I see a revolution coming there in America after years of institutional injustices, racism, and all that. People are saying, you know what, enough is enough. So thank you so much for joining us. Let's meet here tomorrow, 9 a.m. for Daytime Express. For me, Miriam Mugutu, from the headquarters of Punchline Africa Television, it is bye-bye.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.